Yo, what's good everyone? Infamous Legacy here with another Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League video. In this video, I'll be breaking down a lot of the key points that I took from the Q&A that took place within the Suicide Squad Discord, sharing my thoughts and opinions about the answers that the devs have given regarding a lot of these questions that were asked, and also let you guys know about things before the game launches. So let's go ahead and get this started, and let's see what this Q&A was about. One of the first questions that were asked within the Discord were about new characters. Will they be coming with new missions, new cutscenes, new weapons, new maps, things like that? So the answer to that was related about the story behind the characters. So all these characters will be introduced with new cutscenes, and a lot of the content will take place within the Hall of Justice, and there will be a lot of audio logs between conversations with other characters with these new characters. So my biggest thoughts about this is I do really appreciate these characters being introduced with cutscenes. However, I do hope we get some sort of like an origin style type mission, just like a mission that's specific to this new character. So hopefully we'll see something like this in the future, but the dev just answered it. All these characters will be introduced with these new cutscenes, audio logs, and a lot of content for them within the Hall of Justice. Next up is a question about Battle Pass. So obviously this is a live service game and we're unsure of if we had to pay for everything within this game to play content and other things like that. However, with this Battle Pass, it's only based off of cosmetics. So you will have either a premium or a free track Battle Pass, and it will be released every season. The first Battle Pass will obviously be released in Season 1, and you guys know Season 1 will also be getting the Joker. There's 75 tiers to complete in the Season 1 Battle Pass. This reminds me of my time in Destiny 2 when I was completing a lot of the seasonal ranks they had going on and gaining like skins for my weapons, my gear, currency to buy emotes. So that will also be taking place within Suicide Squad. And then also the Battle Pass, the great thing about it, so this is a big thing, after every season ends, you can still go back to that previous Battle Pass and run that content. And you can even get those cosmetic items from last season. So this was a big dub, definitely like this one. And then also another key point was each season will have a new playable character, a new elseworld to explore, loads of new gear, new missions to play, and more, all for free. So I can't lie, I know we're not supposed to be hyping this game so much because there's people out there that feel like this game might not succeed on the way it's going to be portrayed. However, this Battle Pass, I can't even lie, this is a dub just because with a lot of the free content that we're going to be getting, I honestly personally might not care so much about the cosmetics, but the content, the missions, the gear, all for free, you gotta love that. And then also keep in mind, every season's gonna have a new character. So that was another key point from this whole free seasonal Battle Pass. Moving on to the next question. Can we solo endgame content? I was really curious about this as well because a person like myself, I really enjoy a challenge from running a lot of these RPG games that I've ran in the past, even in the present, a lot of these looter shooter games, a lot of these MMO type games. I would always like that moment where I can maybe solo a boss fight. So the answer to this question was you can solo, you can do a 2-player, 3-player, 4-player mission. However, if you are planning to run solo or even with 2 players or 3 players, you're still going to have AI companions. So technically it's not like a solo because you're still going to have your AI companions. But let's just say if your AI companions die within a mission and if you do not revive them, do you technically solo the boss fight, for example? We just gotta wait and see till the game drops. Now let's go ahead and dive into this question about loot. This was a really good question. How much of loot build progression will be RNG based? Is there expectations players will repeat certain missions or activities 100 or a dozen times? I just added 100 times to get the rarest gear or stat rolls. So the dev answers this like they're talking about loot, and don't worry, this will be totally short. Obviously it isn't. Loot is such a serious topic, 100%. Loot progression in the game doesn't revolve around gear or gear score or item power or any power creep like that. When you get a piece of loot early in the game, it is as viable throughout the entire progression. How viable it will be is up to you, your playstyle, and how well that loot synergizes with your build. And then I'll just like summarize everything he says here. So with all the loot within the game, they have different rarities. So obviously we have our uncommon, rare, and epic. And then we have legendary, infamy, and notorious loot. And then there's something called augments. So augments are additional stats. So those augments can be on uncommon gear, rare gear, epic gear, legendary, infamy, and notorious loot. And how it goes with the augments is, for example, if you have an uncommon piece of loot, there can be 1 augment. If you have a rare piece of loot, there can be 1 to 2 augments. If you have an epic piece of loot, there can be 1 to 3 augments. And then for legendary, infamy, and notorious, there can be 2 to 3 augments. And then he goes into explaining the crafting, overhaul, modification, TOTES, lidding, and poison ivy supercharging with all this loot. So let me go ahead and break down what all of those mean and how it will benefit you when you obtain different pieces of loot within the game and how you can make that loot OP for your build. Let's go ahead and get started with crafting. So everyone knows what crafting is about, but for the new players who are new to looter shooter type games, crafting recipes are easy to craft. It's based off the loot you earn through the story. So let's say, for example, you get rid of an item or you accidentally delete it. You can basically craft that item again. So that's what crafting is about. Then we got Overhaul. Overhaul rerolls all augments on a piece of loot, which gives you a way to reroll the item without worrying about doing sacrifices to the loot gods. So you can basically reroll those additional stats on a piece of loot you obtained without losing that item. And then we move into modification. So I forgot to mention, with these augments, so these stat bonuses, they do come in tiers as well. So there is uncommon, rare, and epic. So just keep that in mind when you're going towards building your character. So with modification, lets you reroll an augment on an item, and you get to pick from 3 new random augments or keep the one you have. So for example, if you want to modify your gear piece and reroll an augment that's on that gear piece, you can pick from these 3 new random augments, or you can keep the one you want. And then the dev does share an example. So for example, if you reroll an uncommon augment on an item, you're then locked into only being able to reroll that uncommon augment. So it won't change tiers, it will stay uncommon. And then we got TOTES. TOTES lets you reroll an augment, but lets you pick the augment you want to roll from a possible list of augments. So where modification presents you with a list of random augments, TOTES lets you straight up pick the augment you want to roll, and then you get to pick a list of 3 permutations of that augment. And then we got lidding. I think I pronounced that right, is insanely powerful because this unlocks the ability to modify or TOTES not just one augment, but all augments. And then we have Supercharging. Very simple explanation. Lets you upgrade the afflictions on an item to make its effect last longer on enemies. So that's like your status effects, if you want to call it. And then there is another feature that the dev wanted to mention, and it's based on the firearm. So once you unlock in the story any firearm, uncommon, rare, epic, or legendary, there's levels to it where you can earn points that can be applied to 5 different categories. So very similar to, again, my experience in Destiny. So we have accuracy, stability, zoom, reload speed, and magazine size. Each of these attributes can be upgraded to 3 times. The maximum points available on a firearm depends on the rarity. So depending on the rarity will depend on how many times you can max it. But again, the maximum points will depend on that rarity. And legendary firearm can get up to 15 levels, which makes it possible to maximize all attributes on that firearm. But if you have infamy firearms and notorious firearms, which are like, let's say, your exotic weapons, they are not able to be upgraded. I really enjoyed the answer to the loot question and how the dev broke everything down. Now moving on to our next question we have here. Will there be a way to replay the campaign? This was another key point for me from the Q&A, and the dev says, yes, absolutely. You can replay the whole story or jump back and replay your favorite mission. So that's similar to what I did in the alpha test. And then he does mention there is going to be a new game plus. There's some games out there right now that don't even have a new game plus. So with new game plus, there's also going to be something called Metropolis Invasion levels, which is considered like difficulties. So you're going to start the game, you're going to have your standard difficulty, easy, medium, and hard. But once you complete the main story, you can unlock 5 additional difficulty levels over and above hard. And the great thing about this is, once you complete those missions on those invasion level difficulties, you can unlock the next higher level, and then you'll also be rewarded some unique legendary items and maybe master versions of familiar items when you were playing the story. So I really enjoy that. A new game plus with multiple difficulties. Let's see how really challenging it's going to be. We can't really determine how challenging it will be until we get our hands on the game. But I really like what Rocksteady's doing with the whole new game plus and the additional difficulties. So the next question is regarding clans. So clans seem to be an interesting part of the game that promotes both teamwork and competitiveness. Could you guys go more in depth as how they work and the benefits from being in a clan? So just to quickly summarize, if you love being part of a team, obviously the clan aspect is for you. And obviously you want to make sure you're playing with your homies when you're running within the clan. So with the clan, each clan member has its own leaderboard, which is just for their members. Whenever you beat a clan member's score, you get to send them a rival taunt. That's pretty dope. And then the dev goes on to say the clan has daily and weekly challenges. Completing these will earn clan XP, which will rank up the clan. Each clan member will also have an individual rank within the clan that increases with how active they are and how much they contribute to ranking up the clan. And then it also goes on to say increasing your clan's rank will unlock rewards. These rewards are basically like cosmetics, to clan banners, to XP bonuses, and resource bonuses as well. So within the clan aspect of Suicide Squad, it's honestly just like other looter and shooter games that also have clans. Kind of self-explanatory, nothing crazy here. One thing I do want to maybe see is I hope there's maybe a leaderboard amongst all clans within the game to see which one's achieving the highest score. That'll be pretty dope to see, and also see who's on top. So clans, if you are looking into being part of a clan, just make sure you're finding some fun with that and playing with homies that you enjoy the game with. On to the next one. This is just a recap of Social Squad. So if you are not aware of what the Social Squad feature is, here you go. So if you are playing alone and you're not planning on playing with certain members of the squad, you can replace those members with other players. For example, friends from your friends list, players off the leaderboard. And all those players that you do bring into your social squad keep their gear, their cosmetics, and their talents that you had equipped them with from the last time. And the great thing about social squad is there is a feature called kickback. So if those characters, so let's say you use my character in your squad, when I jump in back into the game, I'll receive a small portion of the resources and loot that you earned while playing the game with my character in your squad. So I really like that, especially, you know, times where people don't have enough time to play the game. So if you're able to bring a friend's character in just to help them out a little bit, and just for you to enjoy having that AI companion also be your friend's character, that's a pretty dope experience. Almost to the end of this video, so let's go ahead and talk about end game content, no pun intended. So with end game content in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, we're going to be having various different mission types and boss fights. Some of those mission types consist of incursion missions, which is like an invasion type mission. Then we have killing time mission, where that's more of like a horde mode survival type mission where we're fighting numerous enemies to reach an objective. And then with all these type of end game content missions, it is going to reward you with those infamy sets, the notorious gear sets, things like that. And obviously the difficulty levels will continue to go up, just like the rewards. Finally, the last question that caught my attention from the Q&A was, can your friend join midway through your playthrough? The dev says if your matchmaking setting is set to open, your friends then can just jump into the game when the opportunity presents itself. And this applies to the story mode. And if you're playing in a private session, you can always send a squad invite to a friend and they can join you right away. And then we have the elseworld missions, which is a little bit different with the join in progress. You need to make sure your party is locked in beforehand, and then the game allows you to play with your friends even if they are in a different part of the story. And the dev says, for example, if your friend is at the start of chapter 3 while you have just started chapter 2, you can progress with them through chapter 3, and then that progression will be saved. And then you can go back and continue your story in chapter 2 and complete the game. So it gives you the opportunity to have like checkpoints within the Elseworld missions. There it is, everyone. The key points that I pulled from the Q&A that appealed to me, and the things that you guys should know before you start playing Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It seems like the devs have put a lot of work into this game, and I can't wait to play it, especially playing it with the homies. So I can't wait for the launch day, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and if I missed any other key points that you guys have come across, let me know in the comments below. Well, until next time, I'll see you guys on launch day. Peace!